Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. So we are moving right along, right? Big names coming out fast and furious. Today you had the biggest industrial, top weight in the Dow, Boeing. Last night you had no longer the biggest tech name, but obviously maybe the most watched tech name, Apple, right? But just it seems like pretty much every single session this week we've had just some really big report. The performance has been mixed, right? But you're still getting a lot of specific stock action. So even though averages maybe not moving around too much, well, that might change. That's a whole different story. That might change with the FOMC today and the jobs report Friday. But maybe the averages aren't flying around, but individual stocks certainly are. And that's really all you can hope for, right? I mean, you want as traders, you want to be, you want movement, and as long as you're selective and figure out the names that are going to be the news, then there's opportunity out there. And continuing that streak tonight and tomorrow morning, I mean, you have like another really crazy lineup of companies reporting, and Microsoft market cap wise, definitely the biggest. I mean, in addition to Microsoft, you're going to have Facebook tonight, PayPal tonight, Visa tonight, right? Tesla also tonight. For you chip people, Qualcomm tonight, right? Mellanox, which may or may not be getting bought out. I mean, there's some chatter on that one. Win tonight. ServiceNow, NOW, top software name. That's just tonight. Tomorrow morning, GE, right? Mastercard, another payments name. UPS, another big transport name, right? Long story short, there's just like a ton of stuff going on, right? And there's so many names reporting, and in addition to most of those stocks, you're expecting some good action there. What it really opens up is the sympathy trade scenario, right? So sympathy trades, stocks that will move in tandem with the companies that are reporting, right? Highly correlated companies. And what's interesting is that tonight you actually have quite a few, more so than maybe last night or really at any point over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I'm always on the lookout for sympathy trades or these highly correlated names, just because you get the catalyst, uh, but with options that are typically less expensive, right? And if the stocks offer weekly options, even better. I mean, if they don't, then it sometimes complicates things. But uh, when you have just so many names reporting and a lot of correlated ones, then what you can do is you can look at the options and say, like, okay, Microsoft is tonight, right? Microsoft and ServiceNow, NOW, both are top software names. Microsoft obviously the largest weight, but when you look at the space, you can see, so there's going to be a handful of names that are going to move with it. So you can see Salesforce has been really highly correlated. So over the last 5 to 6 months, you can see Salesforce has been really highly correlated with Microsoft. And Salesforce won't report this week. Actually, won't report for the next couple of weeks. But as Microsoft goes, so does Salesforce typically, right? You can see, I mean, like the peaks, the troughs, the bounces, the rallies, the tops, all really kind of coincide with how Microsoft is performing, right? Also, another one along those lines, Adobe, maybe even more highly correlated to Microsoft. I mean, look at this performance, right? You can see, it doesn't take a master chart technician to recognize how often these stocks tend to move together, right? I mean, peaks, trough, bounce, right? Dip, bounce. I mean, so Adobe is another one, right? So neither Salesforce or Adobe report this week, but odds are, if Microsoft has a pretty big reaction to numbers, odds are that Salesforce and Adobe are probably going to see decent sized moves, and the options aren't pricing in moves on the same magnitude as Microsoft, because technically Salesforce and Adobe aren't reporting this week, right? Does that make sense? Also, in the payment space, this one's a little bit less of correlation, but you have Visa, so payments, right? Visa, Mastercard, PayPal, right? So who's one of the odd men out there? Square, right? Obviously, those 3 to 4 charts, they don't look perfect. They're not like mirror images of each other. But when you look at the space, I mean, you can see that when one moves. So if you just look at PayPal here, so this was the last time I reported, right, on October 19th, right? You can see that it gapped up like 8 points, and then you can see at the same day, like how did Square respond? And here, right? Sorry, go back. It was Friday the 19th. Square, Friday. It gapped up. Well, so it gapped up and sold off. But see, it closed. It closed at 74.96, and the high and the open was up at 78.70. So it moved $4. It ended up turning red, but it ended up gapping up like 4 points on that session. So, like those are the types of things I look for, right? When stocks have a tendency to move with one or the other, and they don't have a catalyst during the week. So, PayPal earnings this week, Visa earnings this week, MasterCard earnings this week, Square not earnings this week. So those options should be priced with a lower implied volatility, right? Because or lower premium because they're not carrying a catalyst. Also, maybe like lesser followed names. You have Amerisource Bergen. So these are PBMs or basically drug wholesalers, right? So you have Amerisource Bergen tonight and McKesson tomorrow. You can see that those two charts look very similar, right? ABC, McKesson. But the third one in that group that typically trades with it is Cardinal Health, and you can see like these when I pull up ABC, right? Comparisons. Let's do Cardinal Health. Look, I mean, you can see the correlation between the two, right? So ABC tonight, MCK tomorrow, Cardinal Health doesn't report, and they have weekly options. So that's another one, a highly correlated group. 2 report this week, 1 doesn't. And to me, that is like a really nice area to look for like a sympathy trade. And then the last one, so you had LVS last week, right? So LVS last week and Win this week. So Win starting to break out, right? But LVS is really like a very similar setup, technically, right? I mean, I know it reported last week, but technically very, very similar. So you would think that if Win is good and it starts to break out, highly correlated LVS, which is right at the top of resistance, has a pretty good chance of doing it too. Yet, the LVS options have kind of deflated a bit because the earnings are past. It didn't do a whole lot, and now the implied volatility is starting to come down. But there's a reasonably good chance that if Win has a big move to the upside, LVS, right at a critical make or break point, and starts to go, you're getting options without the catalyst that could still have a reasonable chance of a pretty big move. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's options trading. It's about targeting. It's about finding the targets that are going to have news, right? Finding the names that are going to have news. But once you figure out when the news is coming, then it's also there's a lot of other things to consider. So it's like are the options underpriced compared to historical average? Are they overpriced? What type of move are they pricing in? But then you can find all these sympathy plays. So it's like, okay, what's a highly correlated name, and are there options available on that where maybe there's some potential there? So a lot goes into it, but it just means that there's plenty of opportunity out there. It's just you have to know where to look. All right, so a ton to look forward to tonight. Another really busy day tomorrow, and actually next week's going to be jam-packed also. So, like I said, they're coming out fast and furious. Every day it seems like you get at least like a handful, if not more, of just really big powerhouse reports. So, this is the best time every 3 months. I wish it would stretch out a little bit longer, not have everything in like a 2 or 3 week window, but it is what it is, right? So if you guys are playing anything tonight, best of luck. Love to hear what you think. Amazon tomorrow night. A bunch of FANG names tonight. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking, what you're looking at. If you have any ideas, you want to bounce them off me, reach out. As always, I'd love to hear from you. Have a fantastic night. and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.